OOP's coworker is a stalker and a neighbor. I am not op. Original post from R. Let's Not Meet by you, schmitting the bed. Trigger warnings. Stalking. Domestic abuse. Attempted murder. Less than. Mood spoiler. Dark. But not for OOP. Less than. Original. Former coworker is still my neighbor deck. 6. 2018. Summer 2017. I was working at a pharmacy. I had been there for 4 years. A new staff pharmacist around my age, 28 at the time, was hired. He seemed odd, but I was nice to him because everyone else was rude to him immediately and I felt bad. He asked me way too many questions. Some I answered and others crossed boundaries. Questions about ex-boyfriends. Fast forward a month. He said that he was moving. He lived on the east side of my city and he said that he was moving to the west side, where I live. He said that he actually found a house near the intersection of where I live. I asked him what street and he wouldn't tell me. He also said that the owner will live there for a few more months. So I forgot about it. Fast forward a few months later, and my mom and stepdad told me they met our new neighbor. Our house is one house away from the intersecting street. This house is on the intersecting street. So we are one house away but the backyards connect. My mom said he seemed like a really nice young man. The next time I worked with him I asked if that was him. And he said no. I let it go for a little bit. Then another time, he started asking me questions, describing my backyard and asking if my street name started with the letter that it did. So he admitted it was him. I asked him how he knew it was my house. He said he saw me in the backyard. He decided not to say anything to me. The next few months were weird. I was still friendly with him as a coworker but he crossed some boundaries. He knew my birthday was coming up. My birthday and address are in the pharmacy database. And my brother was asking for ideas for what to get for me. I wanted a certain phone case. So I was browsing on my phone to send my brother links to the ones I wanted. He would always look over my shoulder when I was on my phone. He saw the type of phone case. He got me the phone case and a $150 preloaded Visa gift card. I told him, in a very professional manner, that I felt the gift was inappropriate and probably against company policy. I walked over to his mailbox while he was at work to return it. He kept putting it back in my mailbox with messages of begging me to accept it because I make him so happy. I ended up giving it away. Not much longer after that, I took my coworker, not him, a female, to the zoo. I had some of it on my Snapchat story. He kept messaging me on Snapchat asking questions about it, and it was bothering me so I blocked him. After that he called my mother. He got her hash from when they first met, and told her that he needed to talk to her. He told her he needed to come over and talk to her. So she invited him in and they talked. I was very alarmed by this but she thought it was endearing. I told him once again at work that he crossed boundaries. And he said that he does everything that he does because he cares about me. He didn't understand where I was coming from at all. Those were the most standout things he has done. Also a lot of pestering about, tell me who your boyfriend is, and trying to look at pictures in my phone to figure it out. Going through coworkers' phones and reading their conversations with me. Even impersonating them while I was not at work to get info. One time he even cornered me at work and wouldn't let me leave until I told him what characteristics I look for in a guy. He also was mad at me when I got a birth control prescription filled, even though it was being used to correct hormonal problems from another birth control. I started being mean to him at work because I couldn't take it anymore. He then told me that I was treating him that way because he is a nice guy who cares about me, and that I am looking for a jerk. It became a very hostile work environment, and I left about 2 months ago. This is a side note. Other coworkers and neighbors hate him because he likes to start confrontations. He also plays he said she said with people for entertainment. The neighbors have called the police on him and think he is crazy. I haven't heard from him at all since leaving. But I saw my former coworker last week at a get-together and she said that he is trying to get her to tell him where I work now. He told her that he sees me getting into my car every morning, so he knows I have a job. I told my mom this and she didn't take it seriously. She never believed I was in danger. I would just like to get an outside perspective. When I come home late I run to the door. And if no one is home I will wait to take a shower. I'm still scared. Update on stalker I posted about 4 years ago, October 27th, 2022. Hi everyone. Here is an update from a post I made a few years ago about a scary neighbor. Last night I looked out the window and there were multiple police cars and an ambulance. I found out later that my neighbor married a young girl from the same country as him. She doesn't speak much English and doesn't have family here. She has been here a few months. He has seldom let her leave the house, even to go in the backyard. My other neighbors managed to catch her outdoors once or twice and managed to get her phone number. She said he has cameras all over the house and outside. Last night he was beating on her and accusing her of cheating and the cops were called. After that he shut off her phone service. Last night he attacked her with a knife and my neighbors heard her screaming and they called the cops for her. She says he was trying to kill her. She was taken away by an ambulance and he was arrested. Multiple guns and knives were found in the house. I'm going to cut this post short because I'm typing this on a tablet with no keyboard and it is getting cumbersome. Note: marking concluded, as it seems that stalker has moved on from stalking Oop. The mom who thinks he was just being sweet and nice and harmless. WTF. WTF, that horrifying. I hope the girl made it. Holy shish. But seriously, WTH was wrong with the mom. Why did she think he was harmless when neighbors are literally call the police on him and he's creepily watch her house and spamming and following her own child place to place? Summer 2017. I was working at a pharmacy. I had been there for 4 years. A new staff pharmacist around my age, 28 at the time, was hired. He seemed odd, but I was nice to him because everyone else was rude to him immediately and I felt bad. He asked me way too many questions. Some I answered and others crossed boundaries. Questions about ex-boyfriends. You ever watch one of those movies where a character hears a noise and goes to investigate, and you just want to scream at them to just run away because it's the killer? Yeah, I started to get that same impulse reading the first paragraph. That's what I expect from anyone saying they're a nice guy. Fuick. I seriously hope Oop has a ring and security cameras around her place. Carries pepper spray and takes a self-defense class. I also hope her mom now knows that endearing nice young man ain't. But also wondering why Oop didn't clue in the manager or HR. I went on a date with this guy and he told me he had a friend who didn't seem to care about him. She was a woman he knew and it pained him greatly that she didn't care about him the same way he cared about her. But he keeps trying. I was a dumbass and somehow didn't notice the red flags in his story. We go on a total of 4 dates. He was a workaholic and habitually late, so I decided we weren't compatible and told him I didn't want to go on any more dates. This guy proceeded to stalk and harass me for 6 years. This past year was the first one where I didn't hear from him. It made me realize that some men look for targets, and they don't stop harassing you until they find a new victim. Just like the guy in this story. They don't change. Their behaviors don't change. Their victims might get cycled through, though. Wouldn't let me leave until I told him what characteristics I look for in a guy. Someone who respects my boundaries and knows how to accept no as an answer. Dear Lord, I hope the mom now knows better. OMG. What an eerie feeling. I spent a month in the UK when I was 17. A wealthy teenager from a Middle East country was hosted by the same family as me. Although through another organization, the way Op describes his behavior is so terribly similar to what I experienced within a week. With the exception that my stalker was living down the corridor and insisting to come into my bedroom while telling me deeply disturbing things. My situation didn't end well, and it made me irrationally scared of men with the same facial features of him for longer than a decade. It's been 18 years and I'm not comfortable around similar men yet. It shattered my inner self in so many ways. Especially since I've never been racist, and I felt so terribly guilty for feeling physically nauseated when meeting other men who look like him, who obviously happened to be from the Middle East too. The worst thing I remember is the British lady who was taking my statement, blaming it on me for being too friendly because, you know, in his culture, women don't talk or show the elbows. My friendliness was reduced to tell him to stay away from me, but I couldn't do anything about my elbows. It was summer and even the UK gets warmish. When reading the original post, I kept thinking, he acts like him. He sounds like him. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a similar culture. She shouldn't have acknowledged his existence, and most certainly should never show her elbows. Then Oop mentions about marrying a young woman from his country, and I was not surprised at all. Marking concluded, as it seems that stalker has moved on from stalking Oop. Savage. I've been watching I Am a Stalker on Netflix. Man, these people are crazy and scary how delusional they are. Fuck OOP's mom for not taking her seriously. Hopefully after that she can stop making excuses for him. Yikes. Oop was lucky she quit her job when she did, although she never should have had to. Once she left, his obsession with her ended. Otherwise she could have ended up in the same situation his wife was in. Unfortunately, he moved on to another woman and abused her. He seemed odd, but I was nice to him because everyone else was rude to him immediately and I felt bad. Be professional, which equals being nice. Good job, Mom. I want to know if the mom still thinks he's endearing. One time, when I was at work, a coworker, he worked for the same company but I had never met him by that point, had gotten into my car while I was temporarily away from it to leave something inside of it for me to find. I know this because he admitted it to me when I first met him. Right after he made a sexual comment to me, my mom's reaction was, "Ah, he likes you." Quote, I relate to Oop, unfortunately. This is why you don't befriend the creepy dude at work, because you feel bad for him. Yikes. Am I reading this right? #THEY were neighbors for 8 years? Edit. It was less than that. But certainly for 4 years after she posted the first post, which is still pretty crazy. He's such a nice boy. Why don't you go out with him? OOP's mother might have said. Some people just refuse to see danger when it's wrapped in a supposedly nice package. Hopefully, Mom learned something about red flags. Also to be cautious with OOPs, as well as her personal information. The warning signs were there and Oop was the only one who saw it coming. OMG, that is so damn scary. Hope his wife is okay.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.